Well, Geeks and Gamers, Matt Lemke here with your gamer goggles, Gen Con 2014. We're at the 1A Games booth and we're going to go over a demo of Testing Grounds. It's going to be a short, sweet demo, only covering the key components of the game.
Hi again, Chris Williams with 1A Games here. So what you're staring at right now are some of the components from Cross Hares Testing Ground. Primarily what you should be seeing in the screen is one of the character cards. We'll just run down it real quick. Starting here at the top, you've got the character's name, his title, what kind of character he is. This guy is a scientist. A little bit of background about the character, which is just kind of a little backstory for those of you who are really interested in backstory. And then the specific advantage that that character brings to bear. In this case, if this character acquires a specialty, and I'll tell you what that is in a second, he may instead draw up to 2 cards and hold them in his hand. And that's a good thing. The cards are useful for him, and there you go. So down here at the bottom, there's 2 tracks that talk about items and specialties. I told you we'd come back to specialties. So as you move around the board, either through rolling the dice or landing on certain squares, you will be allowed to pick up different items or activate different specialties that your character has available to him. You do not need to go in order. So if you get the advantage, the ability to pick up an item, one of these little cards, you can put it on whichever one of these you want. So let's say you decide you want to put it on the high-tech rifle. Put a little counter right there. Your character now has a high-tech rifle available to him. If he gets a specialty, one of these little tokens here, same thing. He decides, well, I'm going to put that on the torch, which gives me a bonus if I'm fighting undead. Yes, there are zombie bunnies. So, what's the difference? Why am I bothering to call them 2 different things? Why not just call them all widgets? Items, you get to use over and over and over again as much as you want until you are forced to lose them by another player or a card or something like that. Specialties are essentially consumables. Yeah, I've got a torch, but when I use it against the undead, boop, off it goes. Oh, I don't have a torch anymore. Now, if I find another specialty, I can pick up another torch, and there you go. You cannot stockpile any of these. You cannot put, if I get another specialty, I cannot go, now I've got 2 torches. No. You'd have to put it over here on the shelter or the fearless or on the knowledge, but you cannot stockpile them. If this is full, well, there's something else you can do if you get specialties when your card is full. Essentially, you can force another player to lose one of his. So don't feel, when we were playtesting, people would fill up their cards and they'd go, yeah, this is pointless now. I get these die rolls and they're meaningless. So we fixed that. So in a nutshell, that is how the character works. What now?
Combat, I guess.
Alright, so as you're going to move around the board, you're going to run into different things.
Do you need this?
Nah, you can move him. You're going to run into these squares right here. They look like a little nuclear radiation symbol with some blood on them. They're all over the board. Those are going to force you to draw one of these. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's called a Testing Ground card. It's got a little nuclear radiation symbol on it, and there we go. Mostly those cards are bad for you. Some of them are just like that. They're the sorts of monsters or highwaymen or things you're going to run into while you're moving around the board. So first things first, up at the top, it's going to say what kind of attack it is. This one is just a generic enemy attack. Some of them will say animal attack, some of them will say undead attack. That's important because some of your items are only good versus animals or undead. Some of them are good against any enemy, some of them are good against any attack. So you'll want to know what kind of attack you're facing. You'll move down here. This is really just for color. It tells you it's a scavenger, they're a highwayman, it's a snake, it's a zombie, what have you. This is where we get into the meat of it though. It's going to have a defense rating. In order to beat that, you need to roll 1 die 6, and you need to roll bigger than that number. Not bigger than or equal to. Equal to is a tie, and a tie means you lose. So, I'm fighting the scavenger. I need to roll a 4, 5, or a 6. Bingo! I rolled a 6, so I win. So then you look down below that, and you go, what happens if I win? I draw 2 cards. When it talks about drawing cards, that doesn't mean these Testing Ground cards like you just drew. That means these cards over here, they're called stronghold cards. These are the cards that you pick up and hold in your hand. Flip them over so you can see a couple of them here. and then you play them pretty much as instructed on the card. Some of them will say, play this card instead of your turn. Some of them will say, play this card before you roll your dice for movement. Some of these cards will say, steal another card from another player, so on and so forth. So when it says draw 2 cards, that's what it's talking about. If I had lost, it says here, lose 1 marker. Remember the character card we were just talking about with the specialty markers and the item markers? Those are the markers it's talking about. Unless it specifies, I can choose which marker I want to lose. Do I want to lose a specialty or an item? Some cards will say lose 1 item, and then you have to lose an item. Some cards will say lose 1 specialty, you got to lose a specialty. If it doesn't specify, you get to pick. If you don't have any markers to lose, oh no, there's no downside to losing that fight. And that is how combat works, in a nutshell.
Anything else that's key? I mean, you said it's Candyland, so I'm guessing moving along the path is pretty simple.
There are 3 dice that you're going to roll in this game. There's a green die, and that's just your regular old movement die. Bingo. And now I'm going to move 5 spaces on the board.
And I'm guessing you follow the...
Yep, you follow each of these little squares you see has kind of a little pointy side, which is an arrow. You just follow the directions of the arrows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bingo, there you go.
Nothing happens on that one.
Nothing
so what's the tree mean?
The tree, aha! That would be the 3rd set of cards. So, 3rd set of cards are these cards right here, the event cards. You start the game with the first event card face up.
Pull it down a little.
Better?
Zoom in on the text. There we go. That's good. They don't get to see the whole card, but they got the text.
Okay.
That's plenty of time.
So, you start with the first event card face up. That just means that that event is out there on the horizon. It's lurking, it's looming, it could happen.
Oh.
If you land on one of these little spaces with a tree on it, which is the symbol for the event, bingo, the event goes off. And generally, they affect everybody. For example, the card you were just looking at says all players take turns with this attack. And it had a defense of 4, so everybody has to fight that card. It's got a defense of 4, you got to roll a 5 or a 6 on a 6-sider. Everybody's got to do it, even if the first player beats it, the second player still has to fight it.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then everybody either wins or loses and suffers the results as necessary.
So it's kind of like a storm.
Kind of like a storm, exactly.
Cool.
So I'm talking about 3 dice here. The movement die goes from 1 to 5, and then it's got this, where is it? There it is. Got this little question mark on it. What the heck is that? So if I roll the question mark, I don't move at all, but I roll this blue die. This is what we call the research die. I roll that, and bingo,
hey, you got
something
treasure.
comes up. So that indicates that I have found an item. So I take an item, I put it on my card. If I am already full of items, like we talked about before, I can make one of the other guys lose an item instead. Similarly, I can pick up, a specialty. Oh, what does that mean?
That means an event.
Well, yes and no. It doesn't trigger the event. What it makes me do is discard the active event and flip over the next card. This is now the event that is looming on the horizon.
Okay.
Doesn't go off until somebody lands on one of the spaces, but this is now the next possibility. It is possible for you to flip several of these cards by rolling this die without activating them, or activate the same event multiple times before you flip over the next card. I see how this is working. There's one last thing that goes off on this blue die. What is this funny A?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anarchy. It means adventure. So, you've seen the board, some of it anyway. It's very pretty.
It's all there.
It's got all these names all over it for the different regions.
I got a question real quick. Is this an actual board, or is this just for demo?
This is a special board. It's not just for demo, but it's not what you're going to get in the box.
Okay.
What you're going to get in the box will be cardboard mounted, very nicely done, nice slick finish on it, so on and so forth. We had these play mats done up here for the show in case somebody wanted something a little different. It's
They're
just
nice.
like a mouse pad. It's got rubbery back on it, so it's not going to slip if you bump the table. Other stuff's going to slip, but not the board. You can spill on it, you can throw it in the washing machine, and there you go. don't worry, it's not just a Gen Con exclusive. We will make these available on the website, so if you want one in the future, you'll be able to get one. And there you go. But back to adventures.
Yeah, back to adventures.
So I roll this A, and then I look and I go, where's my character? There I am. I am in the Kingdom of Bargola. So A stands for adventure. So my character is going to go on a little adventure. That's fine. So you're going to look at these cards, and you're going to find the one that says, Bargola. It's good. Bargola Adventure. And it's a little mini game. So I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to stick my guy, or just some marker, doesn't matter if it's my guy or not. I'll just borrow this guy for a second. I'm going to come over there, and I'm going to play this little mini game really quickly. There it is. Bingo. So I'm going to move 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I acquire 2 specialty markers. Bing, bing. I pick them up, put them on my character.
Oh, you do that until you go all the way around?
Yep. All other players acquire 2 markers.
Wow.
2 item markers. So they all get 2 item markers. 6 more spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Move up 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All other players acquire 2 specialty markers. So this is working out better for them than it is for me.
Yeah.
If she's anything like
1, 2, 3, 4, done. And that's it. It took 30 seconds to play that little mini game, and that's that. Because the adventures are essentially tied to rolling this and then rolling that, I got to roll a 6 and then another 6. They don't happen that often. I've played a lot of games where we don't have any adventures that go off. I've played games where you hit the same adventure, boom, 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 3 or 4 times in a row, just because that's the way the dice come up. Jesse wanted to add that little flair to kind of separate it out from other games, so it's like there's games within the game, but they don't really distract. Nobody's got to stop doing what they're doing. And because, for example, you saw here, all players acquire 2 markers of this or that kind, you don't want to walk away from the table while I'm doing something, because I might do something that affects you, and you want to be here for that. So he tried to make the game as engaging as possible so that even though it's my turn, you want to be here and see what's going on. I think that's it.
Excellent. Thank you.
There you go.
We'll shake out here, get to see our hands again. Have a good day. Enjoy the show.
Thanks, man.